इवनिंग आदाब नमस्ते। मेरा नाम सुदर्शन है। मैं एक्चुअली इस दुनिया से आई एम समटाइम्स इन दिस वर्ल्ड एंड समटाइम्स नॉट इन दिस वर्ल्ड बिकॉज मेरा 9 to 5 जॉब जो मेरा ब्रेड बटर देता है वो सॉफ्टवेयर में है। काफ़ी बोरिंग जॉब है। नॉट लाइक ऑल ऑफ़ यू पीपल, आप लोग बहुत क्रिएटिव चीज़ें करते हो। मैं आप जैसे लोगों को बहुत एडमायर करता हूँ, द काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स दैट यू डू। और जहाँ तक हो सके इस बम्बई की भाग दौड़ में आई ट्राई टू वॉच अ लॉट ऑफ थिएटर फिल्म्स। और ये जो मैं स्टोरी पढ़ने जा रहा हूँ ये फिक्शन है। ये मेरी ही किताब है जो 4 साल पहले छप चुकी थी। इस स्टोरी का नाम है सैंडविच। इस स्टोरी के बारे में थोड़ा कॉन्टेक्स्ट दूँ आपको। ये स्टोरी एनसीआर में सेट है, दिल्ली, नॉर्दर्न कैपिटल, नेशनल कैपिटल रीजन, अराउंड लेट 1990s। ओके, तो इसमें कोई मोबाइल फ़ोन वगैरह कुछ नहीं है, आईफोन वगैरह कुछ भी नहीं है। मैंने पर्पसली वो टाइम चुना है उसके लिए। ये स्टोरी 7 दिन चलती है। इट स्टार्ट्स ऑन वन वेडनेसडे एंड इट फिनिशेज ऑन द नेक्स्ट वेडनेसडे। तो इट इज़ अ 7-day जर्नी द स्टोरी। एंड कैरेक्टर्स का थोड़ा परिचय दूँ। एक बहुत अमीर आदमी है, उसका नाम है अजय, उसकी बीवी है रमोना। लेकिन ये सेंट्रल कैरेक्टर्स नहीं है। सेंट्रल कैरेक्टर है एक लेबरर है, दिहाड़ी वाले लेबरर्स, जिसका नाम है बिरजू। बिरजू का एक बचपन का दोस्त है जिसका नाम है मोहन। और उनकी बीवियाँ है, एक ठेकेदार है और एक पुलिसमैन है और एक प्रॉस्टिट्यूट है। लेकिन मेन कैरेक्टर्स आर द लेबरर एंड हिज फ्रेंड मोहन। ओके, सो द स्टोरी स्टार्ट्स। इट्स इन इंग्लिश। हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर ओके विद इंग्लिश? ओके, अगर मैं कहीं पे बहुत इफ़ आई रन टू फास्ट, राइट, लोग कहते हैं मुझे ऑफिस में कि यू आर रनिंग टू फास्ट, स्लो डाउन, तो प्लीज़ स्टॉप मी। ओके, आई रिक्वेस्ट यू टू डू दैट। ओके, sandwich. The next Wednesday. At breakfast, Ajay flipped through the newspaper. Prime Minister Vajpayee announces further relief for cyclone hit villages. Kashmiri guerrillas kill 19. First Euro coin minted. Cameroon draw with Austria in the Soccer World Cup. Then his eyes caught a short item at the end of the third page. Man killed over fight over sandwich. He raised his eyebrows slightly. He looked across at Ramona and said, "Did you see this? Why would anyone kill someone over a sandwich?" Ramona shook her head and went on arranging the articles on the dining table. He turned the page. Wednesday. Birju moved the wheelbarrow one last time and stepped back to survey his work. He slapped his trousers at the rear a few times, driving up clouds of dust in the afternoon sun, and put on his chappals. Time for a beedi and a chai. It was hot. Across the sky, the sun blazed like an angry angel, spewing heat across the arid construction site where Birju worked. Not a bird in the sky, the soil was warm to the touch, even in the shade. Now and then, a hot wind would blow dust and flame into one's face. It was all one could do, turn to the other side till it passed. When it didn't, the atmosphere was full of a dull, still heat that found its way into one's clothing and made your banyan cling to your back, dusty and damp. But most damning of all, the air shimmered in the distance like an evil spirit, laughing in joy at your discomfort. Next excerpt. Then he heard a voice. "Birju, oi here!" He turned and saw a man gesticulating from the other side of the Kacha road. Through the bright air, he saw a face that brought back a sharp, fond memory. "Mohan, here!" No, it was no trick. The man was waving and walking now as only Mohan could walk, the jutting chin, the long strides. He shouted back above the din of the excavation at the adjacent site and walked across. "You! I didn't know you were here," he said with incredulity and delight. "Nor I about you," said Mohan and gave him his wide grin. Even at 5.5 feet, a good 3 inches shorter than Birju, in spite of his medium frame, Mohan looked larger. There was something confident and reassuring about this man, Birju thought. They spoke for 5 minutes. Mohan, he discovered, had been at this site for 6 months. Then the whistle sounded. "Let's meet at lunch. Meet me here," Mohan said and walked away. Over the next 2 hours, Birju went back to the first time he had met Mohan. They had been teenagers, Mohan older by 5 years, and they had met by a pond in their village. Birju had killed a bird with a catapult. Mohan had appeared on the scene and claimed it as his own. They had looked at the bird, fluttering and about to die, with a little excitement and adolescent bloodlust. He had finally decided to share the prize. Mohan had been the first person to see him light a beedi. He had been 15 then. Later, Maji would find out and give him a beating, but he didn't care. Over the next 5 years, the boy's discoveries had gone beyond beedies and birds to bordellos and bulls, and they had grown a kinship between them that had gone beyond brotherhood. Thursday. On one side, ये construction site के scene है, दोनों सो रहे रात को काम होने के बाद. On one side, a tower had gleamed yellow and black in the moonless sky. On the other side was their own building, a half-finished building ghostly in the electric light. So he paid you half, said Mohan. Why do you mind? It is that way in most places. The rich babus cheat the thekedars and they in turn cheat us. But I had worked 9 hours, Birju shouted. Calm down, Birju. Do not argue. Argue with me if you like, but not with the thekedar. I can tell you stories of people who argued for safety gear but were turned away. Or worse. I was getting full in the earlier site. That may be. But were you working 12-hour days? Birju looked away uneasily. No. No wonder. See, Birju, you're only 6 months old in this work. I have been in this for 6 years. But we should get what we work for. Don't give me that chutia labor talk. Mohan had rolled over a bit. You see that building over there all completed? Yes. We are a bit like that building. Frame, beams, RCC, cement, plaster, paint. Our skeletons are the frame. Our muscles are the cement and plaster. The paint is our skin. I see. Now tell me, did you ever see a building with a soul or with ambition? No, said Birju puzzled. That is it then, and nor should you, nor do the thekedars. It is that way and will always be. No surety, no safety, no sympathy, just servility and hard work. If you say no, somebody else will come and work. Now let it be. We will talk tomorrow. And Mohan had rolled over and gone to sleep. That evening in the 15-minute break, he called his home in Bihar. Booth se call kar raha hai, mobile phone nahi hai. There was a faint click and his Babuji's voice came on the line. He could see Babuji in his mind's eye, hollowed out face from the disease that would remain nameless and would kill him in a few years, sunken eyes, stubble on chin. How is everyone? He asked. Birju, his father said, you did not send money this time. Is everything all right? No, Sultan broke his leg. Unka jo bull hai. I need money for the operation. Doctor Saab said it will be 2 weeks before he can flow again after the operation. How much? Said Birju, his heart sinking. 10,000 rupees. He spoke for a few minutes, then said, Babuji, Mohan is here. We are at the same site. Good, good. Here, speak to Champa Bitia. He spoke to Champa for a few minutes and left the long distance booth with a heavy step. Back in the dwelling, Birju decided to step out. He felt refreshed after a long time. Then he saw Ram Pyare in the gaslight with a few unfamiliar faces on the pavement. A game of cards. The 7 of hearts, his lucky game. A good way to end a good day. I bet 500, he said confidently. The man next to Ram Pyare, the one with the hooked nose, said, Only 500? What's the matter with you? Your mom forgot to feed you milk? Come on, man, you can bid more. The chorus of voices was a challenge. Okay, said Birju, 1,000. They played for an hour. Birju smiled. He was close to winning. He saw the man with the hooked nose shift uneasily and take out a handkerchief. Then suddenly he put down 4 cards with a flourish. I win, he said simply. Birju's heart sank again. Then it came to him. What was in that handkerchief? He asked suddenly. The man said, What? See for yourself. No card, but a flick knife gleamed in the darkness. Birju shrank back in fear and anger. If the other had not been armed, he could have smashed his face. Next day. The siren in the distance was growing louder and louder, shrill and insistent. Some of the older men had stopped their work for some time to cover their ears. In the half light of the evening, Birju saw the ambulance come closer, its lights flashing. He suddenly felt uneasy. What was the matter? He heard a commotion of men approaching, shouting as if in victory. Then he saw it. The stretcher, the bloodless, smashed face of Mohan, his body twisted at some impossible angle, and the people around him milling, shouting in anger and protest. His heart quailed, his knees turned to water. He would have a memory later of him running through the crowd. Let me in into the ambulance, he could hear his own voice screaming. In the sea of faces, he could see Mohan's widow, Jamuna. Her frame had fallen in, her ashen face, dry eyed, was looking away at a point beyond the dusty horizon. At 4 in the evening, he suddenly put on his clothes, outside clothes, and walked the 300 meters to the Thekedar's cabin. The Thekedar was dozing in his charpai. I'm sorry, let's just skip back one. He had hardly slept the previous night. They had told him that Mohan was drunk and teetered over the parapet where he was doing welding. A lie, thought Birju through his rage. Mohan never had daru at work, only after hours. A lie, a lie, a lie. He felt his heart would burst with anger and sorrow. They had not given proper safety equipment. Everyone in the labor group knew that. They had not cautioned him, given a safety net. Bastards, bastards. Birju clenched his fist and imagined himself beating down Dashrath the Thekedar till he was down into a pulp. Then he would let the dogs and vultures prey on him. He thought he was getting dizzy simply thinking about it. At 4 in the evening, he put on his shirt and walked the 300 meters to Dashrath's cabin. The Thekedar was dozing in his charpai, Hindi newspaper on the floor. Birju's head was humming, his feet were unsteady. Dashrath Singh, he bellowed. The Thekedar awoke with a start. You, he said, what is the matter? Have you come about your friend's death? We've already arranged compensation. It was an accident. But then you people have to die sometimes so that we can live. You guys should be more careful. And the police were here yesterday. We've already spoken to them. Then he saw Birju's bloodshot eyes and got up in alarm and confusion. What is it, Birju? He asked, playing for time. Birju did not answer. He stepped forward and hit Dashrath sock in the face. Then again. Dashrath fell to the floor, wiping blood from his mouth. You son of a bitch, he spat. Birju made to strike again, but he felt hands lift him up and drag him to the door to the cabin. They had beaten him till the blood flowed from his face and mingled with his mucus and sweat and tears. Then they had thrown him out on the road with his belongings. एक और दिन जाता है इसके बाद. All of yesterday and today had passed. He had not found anything to eat. He had been forced to sleep on the pavement next to excreta and stray dogs. The heat had been relentless. He wandered around town listlessly, too afraid to live and too afraid to die. Hunger had racked his thin body. He had been forced to drink dirty water from the tube well. He wept for himself, for Champa, for Babuji, for Mohan, for the thousands of labourers like him who were nameless and would always be. But most of all, he wept for God. Why had God failed him? He was famished by evening. Hunger was gnawing his insides. Then he saw a car next to a fast food joint. They had forgotten to lock the doors. Inside, he could see a sandwich and a soft drink. Stealthily, he opened the door and picked up the two and ran. Stop, thief, he could hear someone say, but he did not stop. He was running now with whatever strength he had. Gasping, he reached an open park and lay there panting and weeping. He listened closely, but it was okay. The danger had passed. He took 2-3 quick sips of the drink, then a long whoosh, and felt his insides explode in a cooling medley. He fell onto the grass with a bundle by his side. His eyes became heavy. Sleep had overcome everything. He dreamt of Champa and her small sweet frame and Babuji, his hands folded in welcome, and his little village. Birju, what are you doing here? He looked up. Kanhaiya was standing there, an irritating grin on his face. The smell of cheap liquor was in the air. Bugger off, said Birju, but fear showed in his face. No, hey, Lad Saab is having a sandwich, and Kanhaiya made a grab for it. Birju rose to stave them off, but before he could get up, the others had surrounded him. Kanhaiya picked up the sandwich, and with that same devilish grin was waving it in Birju's face. A bitter bile of rage rose within Birju. He had been cheated again and again, and no one was responsible, except his wretched fate. The rage became a volcano, and the volcano burst forth. All the pent-up emotion of the last 5 days came out. This is my sandwich, he screamed in a voice that sounded nothing like his own. No, sir, said Kanhaiya. Take it if you can. Birju looked around him. The stick. He could see the stick beneath the bench. Through a red mist, he picked up the stick and hit Kanhaiya. Again and again. The other two stepped back in fear. Drink had clouded their senses. But Birju would not stop. A feeling, almost sexual in its intensity, had overcome him. Dimly, he could see Kanhaiya's face, begging for mercy. Sometimes it looked like the Thekedar, sometimes like the Babu, whose car he had stolen from. Sometimes it was Kanhaiya, and sometimes a face like nobody else's. This is my sandwich, he yelled again and again. This is my sandwich. Kanhaiya stopped moving and lay still. On the other side of the park, Imli and her pimp, Peter, watched in horror as a man raised a stick over a writhing form, mouthing obscenities. Then they saw him flee, a ghostly figure receding into the trees. Constable Sukhbir Singh, who was on night duty with his subordinate Dharmapal, heard the screaming of a man and came in to see Imli and her pimp looking in fear at the bloody form on the grass. What happened? I think he killed this man. He peered over the body. Yes, he looked dead. Time to call a van. Do you know what happened? I don't know, said Imli trembling. He kept screaming, I want my sandwich, I want my sandwich. The next morning, the newspapers carried this item: Man killed after fight over sandwich. Kanhaiya Lal, a construction labourer, was found in Rohini Garden, dead. Eyewitnesses said a fight broke out over a sandwich and an unidentified man beat him to death and fled into the construction site nearby. A report against person or persons unknown has been lodged. The NCR police are investigating. Thank you. Thank you.